If I want to work on two Power Queries at the same time, or perhaps look at a previous version's Power Query while looking at the current one, Excel limits that, but what we can do is create a second instance of Excel. So here's my Power Query. If I open another file in this instance, I won't be able to work on two Power Queries. What I can do is I go down here, I hold my Alt key down, right click, and then keep holding your Alt key and click on Excel and keep holding until you get this message saying, do you want to start a new instance of Excel? When I say yes, you'll see Excel opens up. And now what I can do, I'm going to open another file. So there's my other file. I'll just close this one down. I'm just going to put them next to each other so we can see everything in one go. Now these are two separate instances. So if I come here, you'll see I can say edit. So I'm now into Power Query. And what's nice about this is a separate instance. So if I want to look at the data, I can look at the data, or I could come here, go into, in this case, version 2's Power Query. Can move them across, and now I've got both Power Queries open, and you can see this one has got one extra step where it reordered the column. This one doesn't. You can work on them both. Just be very careful to make sure you know which one is the one you want to work on. Just keep them separate.
Here we've created a Power Query, so it's working. Previously it only had these files. Now we've suddenly got something called ABC. And when we run it, you'll see we get an error message. If I go into Power Query, you'll see the problem happens here when we promote the headers. So the issue is, previously it was set up, and because we had to do some deleting, the file was expecting this to say CDE. So we need to correct it. So the way we're going to do that, go one step earlier, and I need this to change. When I promote the headers, I don't want to see whatever's here. I want it to say source name. Easiest way to do that, I'm going to create a conditional column. I'm going to call it source name. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, look over here at column 2. And whenever it equals the word store name, in this case, then put the word source name. Otherwise, go and select whatever was in the original source name. When I say OK, so now you'll see on the line where eventually we want the headers, now it says source name, but there's our raw data. When we promote the errors, the headers, no problem. I'm just going to get rid of this, it's no longer relevant. Change type, just delete it. And now we'll always have the source name with the correct data, but it will always be called source name.
In this data set, we've created a Power Query. And we know that we want to get rid of anything that ends with the word total. So I can go in to my Power Query. So there's the column I want to sort out. If I come here, I try to go filters, suddenly we don't have the option of ends with, or begins with, or contains. This is because Power Query is very particular about these types. So the easiest way to do this is to change this type to text. And once you do that, you'll see you now have all the filters available. So we can now say it ends with total,
now do what we need to do.
When we try refresh this Power Query, we get a message here that's saying is an overflow error. If we go check what it is, you'll see it's not particularly informative, just tells us there's an overflow error. So one of the common reasons we're finding that is you'll see how I've made it very easy to spot, but there are some formatting as dates in our data. And you'll see these dates are actually fine, but any number bigger than 2.958465 million, which equates to the date 31st of December 9999, which is the biggest date Excel can handle, will cause PowerQuery to misunderstand. And because for some reason occasionally tables seem to format some numbers as dates, if that happens and there's a number bigger than that, you potentially have the overflow error. So one of the easiest ways to look in your table, just click on it, and if you see something like this, it implies that there's some dates. And this one here is just telling you that Excel is trying to format it as a date, but it's just too big given the date constraints. So you need to just change the formatting here. So if I went in here, I just made it more recognizable. And when we come here, we can say refresh, and now it handles it fine.